Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, with Britain heading to the polls, we take a look at whether women will indeed play a key role in deciding who wins the election. Also, curbing the caesarean epidemic in Brazil, where some 56% of babies are born by C-section. And dealing out tough love in the Paris suburbs, a group of mothers seeking to help troubled teenagers. But we begin in Britain that's about to vote in a new government. As it turns out, a record 1 in 4 candidates are women. Yet despite being 52% of the electorate, is there really such a thing as a women's vote? Lucy Fielder reports from London.
The pink battle bus bringing Labour candidates to meet female voters. Today's stop, a girls' school in Brentford, West London. Labour has rejected criticism that the bus is a sexist gimmick.
Whereas we see pink being associated with gender and sometimes disempowering, the whole point about challenging that stereotype is to say this is a message about women's empowerment and women's votes and women's political voice. I think the party has been very clever.
These Labour politicians have a simple message today: use your vote. At the last election 5 years ago, some 9 million eligible women didn't cast their ballots. Some of these girls are 18 and about to vote for the first time. But did the session persuade them to choose Labour?
I'm still researching so I can make a smart decision about it, but just researching at the moment. I'm definitely going to vote.
I would need to know how each policy would affect me and my family.
This analyst at the Feminists for Set Society says 5 years of spending cuts by the ruling coalition have created a bleak outlook for many women and warns against seeing only some policies as women's issues.
We know that the austerity policies had a disproportionate impact on women, so although they weren't gendered, women bore the brunt of cuts in care services or reductions in welfare. So even though they're economic policies, they still have a big impact on gender equality.
But at this packed hustings at a town hall in Acton, West London, MP Angie Bray from the ruling Conservatives defends the party's record on women.
We've got some great universities, we've got some great apprenticeships available now, and beyond that, of course, we have a record, this government, of creating many, many new jobs. So I think that women looking forward will see an optimistic picture for themselves and their families.
A record number of women are standing in this election, and for some voters, that's a welcome change from the old boys' club of British politics.
Everyone's a bit fed up with the way that Parliament works, particularly Prime Minister's question time. And I think the women have shown as politicians that they don't go along with that sort of slanging match type politics.
Whether a publicity stunt or symbolic challenge to the system, Labour's pink bus has put women voters in the spotlight.
And France this week is marking 70 years since women first voted. It was a move that came many years after a number of other Western countries. Diptyque Laurent looks back at the pivotal moment that defined the women's rights movement in this country.
On April 29, 1945, 12 million women in France headed to the polls and cast their vote for the very first time. Roland Trompé, who's nearly 90 today, not only voted but also ran for election.
Before the war, I was too young to vote, but the day I voted, for me, it was an obvious right, given the role we, women, played during the resistance in France.
Women of all backgrounds participated. Mothers, nuns, Irène Joliot-Curie, daughter of scientist Marie Curie, and the wife of General Charles de Gaulle. The leader of France's provisional government at the time, de Gaulle, signed the bill into law in 1944, nearly a century after men were allowed to vote. France lagged well behind its industrialized allies. In New Zealand, women were able to vote in 1893, in Australia 1902, the United States in 1920, and the United Kingdom 8 years later. But the path to universal suffrage in France was fraught with difficulties. During the 1920s and 30s, a bill authorizing the right to vote was refused 6 times in the French Senate. Roland Trompé was eventually elected to local office in Charleville in northern France. She was just 5% of women in public office at the time, but knows her struggles helped pave the way for more women in politics. The proof? Today, a record 30% of female deputies make up the General Assembly.
Now, not that we haven't heard it before, but a UN Women's Global Report has confirmed that we earn on average 24% less than men, work more hours and have less chance of getting a pension in our retirement. The report calls for an overhaul of global economic policies to improve women's lives. It also says discriminatory laws and attitudes are failing women in both rich and poor nations. We asked Laura Turkey, the report's co-author, about what needs to be done.
So in terms of transforming work, this is about ensuring that we close the gender pay gap. That can be done by introducing minimum wages, for example, which is shown to narrow the gender pay gap, but also valuing the work that women do. So ensuring that the kind of care work that women do is adequately paid and respected. In terms of social policies, we're talking about things like family allowances to support families when they're bringing up children, but also very importantly services such as healthcare and childcare services, which are really an investment in the next generation.
Now, it's a country that's known for its celebration of feminine beauty, but the dark side of Brazil's obsession with the female appearance may be contributing to the country's extraordinary high rate of caesarean births. Not to mention convenience is also playing a factor. So high is the figure that the government's launched a campaign to discourage mothers-to-be and their doctors from opting for the procedure.
1-year-old Rafael was born by caesarean section, just like all the other babies in his mother Paula's family. Over half of Brazil's babies are delivered using surgery, a trend that has alarmed the authorities. But women like Paula say they find it more convenient.
To avoid the pain or reduce it, and to schedule the delivery date, I choose the date of birth so that my family can be there.
At 56% of live births, Brazil has the world's highest rate of C-sections. This is more than 3 times the World Health Organization's recommended rate. And the figure is even higher in private clinics, where 8 out of 10 babies are born through surgery because doctors prefer faster and more predictable procedures.
In the end, the doctor does not have time to care for all the women who are in labor over such a long period of time.
But the operation has risks. Surgery often starts before the first contractions, which can give the baby breathing problems. The Health Ministry has called the widespread practice an epidemic, which should be limited to difficult births only.
This excessive number of caesareans in our country has become a real public health problem. That is why we should value natural births again.
To encourage more live births, the government has launched projects like this one at Sao Paulo's Albert Einstein Hospital. Health officials will be better trained and more beds brought in to accommodate women during the long labour process. Prenatal classes also help expectant mothers get used to the idea of natural birth. And so, health authorities hope to change culture, one baby step at a time.
They call themselves the Mums Brigade, a group of mothers in Seine-Saint-Denis, a suburb in northern Paris where both youth unemployment and crime is rife, have decided to deal out what they call tough love. Yuka Roya has the story.
Et pourquoi tu le mets pas? Je veux le mettre là tout de suite. Dépêche-toi, va mettre ton casque et toi aussi. Ah! En plus, lui, il a fait.
Some say she has more authority than the police and teachers combined. All young people in this neighbourhood know her and respect her. Every day, Nadia Rimadna walks around the town, making sure things are okay, especially with the youth.
Tu vois comment il s'appelle celui qui donnait les cours de français? Cours de français? Ouais, à Villepinte. Ouais. Tu vas toujours ou pas? Je vais pas toujours. Pourquoi tu vas plus? Je sais pas. Hein? Et ta maman, c'est... Ouais, j'ai vu ta maman, elle est jolie ta maman.
Sèvres, a Paris suburb with 50,000 inhabitants, is one of the poorest areas in France. Youth unemployment is high, and so is the crime rate.
Ah, toi, t'es étudiant? Ah, travaille là, tu vends?
Ah ouais, je vends.
C'est mieux, au moins tant que tu vends des fruits et des légumes, ça va.
I see mothers who want more schools, better education and housing, who just need to be heard.
Frustrated over a lack of government action, Ramada created a neighbourhood watch group, the Mums Brigade. Local authorities appreciate her contribution.
I think her activities can act as a protection for the community because she knows the people and how to approach them. She is committed to protecting children and keeping them away from traps.
The group also offers other stay-at-home mums a chance to come out and find a new role.
To book an appointment with a social worker, you usually have to wait 2 or 3 months. And when you finally meet her, you don't get anything done. Mum brigades are always there for us. When there's a problem, they come right away.
I have a sick son. The Mums Brigade was the only one that helped me.
Today, more than 10 local mothers have become active members. They regularly meet and discuss how they as mums can help tackle the problem.
When a mother talks to the youth, it's different from when a policeman or a teacher talks to them. For a start, the role of the mother is sacred. It's like the Republic. We drew a parallel between the mother and the Republic. The role of the mother is to be there for the children and to protect them.
Reaching out to the youth the way only mothers can do, the Mums Brigade continued their rounds, dealing out tough love.
And that's it for now. If you'd like to comment on what you've just seen, you can head to our Facebook page. That's France 24 51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. Thanks for your feedback so far, and please keep those comments coming in. Until our next program, bye for now.